the master there? Master
Yeah, some kind of master.
It's what releases us on the rest of riverwest and the world.
Yeah.
Unleash it.
Now we can properly introduce ourselves as Stone Soup. Tuesday night. We're only a quarter of an hour slow, but that's a small detail.
There we go.
It's gonna be a quiet night for me anyways, since I'm having a hard time with my pronunciation.
You must have. You probably hit. Yeah.
Huh. Oh yeah.
Everything
12 o'clock
gets,
again.
everything gets plugged in back there, so
Yeah.
somebody must have bumped.
Yeah.
I guess maybe move up an inch, Walden.
You look
Are
okay,
you okay?
though. I can't imagine how that happened. So it's time to crack open the beers. Since I'm gonna use.
Technological
I'm
hiccups.
using this as my painkiller. Need one?
No, I'm good.
No.
I'm drinking water.
Yeah, they gave me, a little supply of Vicodin, but I'm choosing not to use it. at
Can you
this
say your
point.
W's?
Water. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
no-
just
no
say
problem.
like Vicodin and vodka. That's-
Vicodin.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
like. You know,
Yeah.
pretend you're from like Denmark.
For those of you who cannot see, I had my front teeth extracted earlier today.
He's it's on first step to becoming a cyborg.
Right. I am becoming a miracle of science. Used to just observe it, and I'm becoming it. So, yeah, no, it's the first step in putting new teeth in. You have to get rid of the old ones, and then they do a bone graft, and when that heals up, then they actually put in studs and give you new teeth. It's
Made out of porcelain, or what is it?
yeah. Yeah, there's metal studs, and then I guess you could have gold
Yeah.
or
Get some
metal,
bling.
but I'll probably end up with porcelain. It's one of the miracles of biology that starfish can grow a whole new arm, but people can't even replace a broken tooth. So when you talk about evolution, that's
Evolution?
Yeah, but humans can grow new ideas, and I don't think a starfish really can. So our regenerative properties are in the pathways of our brains.
Yeah, but the brain itself, when damaged, has a very difficult time regenerating itself.
Well, but it's a lot more plastic than was once thought.
Yeah.
As ways of regrowing,
Right.
finding
Yeah.
new ways through.
Yeah, and the future does hold promise for the ability to regrow nerve tissue. So it's not out of the question.
Or not even do it on a biological substrate, but on a electrical one, electromechanical.
Your new teeth, Ion, make me think of a interesting thought experiment, loosely related to some of the reading we all did in preparation for this show. Which is, which body parts, if they were replaced, would no longer make you human because you had them replaced?
Offhand, I can't think of one.
Like, well, the obvious one.
None of them are necessary to be a human.
The brain? If I replaced your brain?
Well, I mean, if you digitized me first.
Yeah. So
I would consider that an acceptable duplicate.
Well,
if I was running on the correct hardware, at least. Why not?
I didn't ask if you'd find it acceptable, because I assume I asked if you'd still be human.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, I believe that I could be. I believe that there could be a digitized version of me.
Version?
Yeah. that 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 would be considered human. I mean, to be considered human, you simply have to pass the Turing test, created by Alan Turing, meaning that, in a sort of a blind taste test sort of environment, you would talk to me, and after a certain amount of time, you not being able to recognize that it's not me, it must be me.
So if you can't say the letter V, would that be a clue that you're not human anymore?
No, I mean no. See, the teeth.
So teeth is a no-brainer?
The teeth are the
You're
least
definitely
of it.
still human if you have fake teeth?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm starting to like losing body parts. And if this goes well, I might just decide to lose another body part because.
Well, I mean, the brain obviously is the only one that's any question there, but I don't think it's gonna be. It's gonna be like a frog. You put him in the cold water and you slowly raise the heat till it's boiling, and the frog dies, but it never jumps out because it never feels the water is hot. Now, I mean, that's what it's going to be like with our brains. It's not going to be a wholesale, I take your brain out and put it in a computer brain. It's going to be one piece at a time. I can augment this portion of it. I can augment this function. I can augment that function. And
Right.
pretty soon, it's going to be piecemeal that our brains are replaced by a computer.
Piecemeal is the key word. Can I read one sentence from a turn-of-the-century interview with Hans Moravec? Moravec.
Hans Moravec.
So Hans Moravec, since his earliest childhood, had been obsessed with artificial life. When he was 4 years old, his father helped him use a wooden erector set to build a model of a little man who would dance and wave his arms and legs when a crank turned. It excited me, says Moravec, because at that moment I saw you could assemble a few parts and end up with something more. At the age of 10, he constructed a toy robot from miscellaneous scrap metal. But here's the key concept that you've already hit on, Fort Way. In high school, when another student maintained that no machine could ever be truly human, Moravec suggested replacing human neurons one at a time, using man-made components that would have the equivalent function, digitizing ion. At what point, Moravec asked, would humanness disappear? And his answer was never, basically, I think, or who cares, or like it's a good thing if it does, because as long as we make something better. Which sounds like, Ion, you're already there in that respect.
Moravec? Who's
Moravec, Hans Moravec.
He's a historical figure.
No, he's not.
He's
very
alive.
historical. He was born in 1948. He's a professor of robotics, adjunct at Carnegie Mellon, and a well-known thinker on the future of robotics and of artificial intelligence, of computing power, and also a practical engineer in terms of computer vision. He's done a lot of work on computer vision. But you have to ask the question too: are humans just the neocortex? Because you got to think. You think that you are, but honestly, a lot of what you're doing is your stomach and your endocrine system and your
It
hormones.
determines your emotions. A lot of people are saying that, right? Your emotions are actually determined
Right.
from your gut.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times your brain makes a rationalization of what it is after the fact. Your body's already decided something, and then your neocortex goes on to rationalize it afterward. So, even if you could turn every neuron into a positive, into a electronic neuron, I still think that there's another part of what it means to be human is what's going on in your bloodstream.
Yeah, but if I became very calm and non-emotional, you could just say I zenned out. Oh, he's just reached this Buddhist state.
He's just not pronouncing his V's
disattachment.
today. He's also
Yeah.
calm. It's still him, though.
Yeah.
I simply got rid of that bag of chemicals that was
Yeah.
weighing me down. Yeah, no, there is certainly a question. But I am a sort of optimist, and I think I have been for a long time in the sense that what we consider our real essence may not even need this body. It may not need the human chemical soup. biology is simply the biology that we have right now is simply a vehicle for something else.
For the psyche.
The intelligence, right?
And honestly, I mean, if we're looking to evolve the psyche, and some would say that the purpose of consciousness is to spread its own pattern. That humanity psyche is a antithesis to the entropy of the universe. We're trying to spread our pattern and our order and our thought onto the universe. The only way we can really do that in any significant way is to be able to put our consciousness onto a substrate like that, because we can't go off into the universe as meat bags. It's just we're not suited to it.
And not to mention, matter cannot go faster than the speed of light, which means it'll take centuries for it to get anywhere. You know?
Right, but light can go the speed of light.
And maybe some things may go fast. According to quantum physics, some things may go faster than the speed of light. That's what we need to be looking at.
Yeah, but I mean, also, time is less of a burning issue when you're, practically immortal. Who cares if it takes 10,000 years?
Right.
That only matters if you're a human being in a human body, not if you're a pattern that's a consciousness of light.
Yeah. Is that as far as physical immortality?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, immortality of the psyche.
Yeah. Well, if anything though, an immortality might make you insane. I don't know if.
Wouldn't you rather have the chance to find out? Would you rather die sane or live insane?
Yeah, I would rather die sane.
Well, I was born insane, so.
I like that they added in person about Malovic or
Moravec.
Yeah. Say in person he's friendly faced, slightly overweight, impressively good-humored man. That's important. But he seems shy with strangers.
I guess one of the things that human beings have that's a key component of humanity, I think, is compassion. So if we become kind of disembodied,
do you know people with compassion?
Yeah, I would say I do. I mean,
you should introduce me.
But is compassion is that like a biological feature of our humanity, or is it a reasoned, logical kind of conclusion of our psyche? That's where does compassion lie?
I think it'd be easier to program a robot to be compassionate to convince most humans.
Yeah, really. Right. I mean, compassion is sort of a cultural program, right? A human straight out of the womb has no reason to have compassion until
well,
it's
maybe.
taught
I think we're genetically programmed.
Yeah, it does have compassion. An infant suckling at the breast of its mother has compassion for the mother, and the mother has compassion for the infant. Without compassion, we couldn't really exist. And I think apart from just having our consciousnesses being able to be on into another substrate, we also need to have compassion. I think those are two requirements in order for the psyche to continue to spread.
Yeah. I like to think that overall the universe is compassionate, and that when we have compassion in ourselves, it's simply because we're mirrors of that universe. I mean, I like to think that.
I think sometimes compassion is counterbalanced by selfishness or greed.
Yeah.
So it's like people have an innate compassion, but they also have an innate self-centeredness.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the battle between the two.
Yeah, but I think that's I think our evolutionary past. Maybe we were more. It was more suitable to be egotistical, self-centered, just interested in survival. But I think to evolve the psyche,
Well, yeah.
Compassion is a required component.
Sure, I agree. And also, even evolutionarily, they say like we're starting to sort of evolve out like the bullyish big strong guy in a way, or theoretically, because like enough like 100 nice people don't need the one jerk off they can just like 5 of them can take him down or whatever.
No, and I think the internet is a perfect example of that. I think the internet is truly an example of people who cooperate can do the same, if not better, than people that use it as a tool for enrichment, self-enrichment.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, I like compassion and cooperation too, but I just don't buy that that's what could separate humans from future robots. I think it's an easy thing to program.
Yeah, no, I agree with your statement that robots may be more compassionate. If correctly programmed, that they could be more compassionate and altruistic than a human.
They'll tell you look nice every morning.
Certainly, if they're following Asimov's 3 laws of robotics.
Which are?
The robot may not allow a human to come to harm, may not harm a human or allow a human to come to harm by its inaction. A human or a robot may, tries to self-preserve itself, but only when it's not in, only when it's not harming a human. So it's gonna do self-preservation unless that self-preservation would cause a human to come to harm. What's the 3rd law of robotics? I think that's the 3rd one, is that it can't, it doesn't want to harm itself. But
so we pretty much, Isaac Asimov treats robots the way we treat chimpanzees, which is we treat them better than other animals when possible, but when necessary, if it even marginally has a chance of helping a human, we'll subject them to intense pain or death.
Yeah.
Right, saving a human's life is more important than saving a chimp's life.
Categorically.
Yeah, or any animal species
by our
on this
current
planet.
moral standards.
Yeah. If you had to push an orangutan or a human being off a bridge, which one would you push? I guess our moral code tells us it would have to be the orangutan, but I question even that. I mean,
well, it depends on the orangutan and more importantly the human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we do. That's. I mean, and I actually think that might be one of the flaws of humans and just their collective knowledge is that we have placed humans on a pedestal that, I mean, they somewhat rightly deserve, and in other ways they don't. I mean, we've neglected animals like dolphins.
Well, did we place humans on a pedestal, or do all species place themselves on a pedestal?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Self-identity.
It's just a self-identity of you're gonna save what's your own species.
Like, what about if an orangutan had a choice between pushing a human or an orangutan off a bridge? And orangutans are actually smart enough to know the difference. For sure. I mean, most species are. Well, not like little bacteria. Little animals wouldn't be strong enough to push us. But an orangutan would be strong enough to do it and smart enough to know what he was doing.
Well, let's break it down even farther. You know what? You're gonna if there's a stranger and a non-stranger on that bridge, you're gonna push the stranger over. I think regardless of their species. I mean, I think it could come down to a pet dog.
Oh, you'd save
and a
your
stranger.
dog before a stranger.
You'd probably save your dog before you save the stranger.
It's a theoretical situation, of course, but yeah.
So how about you? Would you save your
What?
Would you save your cat
Or like a person?
before
that
you
I
save the
didn't know?
person? Yeah.
I don't know. You only have a split second to decide, I guess.
That's right. So decide right now.
I'm thinking.
It's too late. They're both dead. Come on.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, between like I'd have to choose the person, I would think. But I don't know. There's a lot of people who, like, if I knew them better, they might not deserve.
Yeah,
saving.
that's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm. A bad person going to do a lot more damage to the world than an innocent cat or dog.
Yeah. But I don't know.
There comes.
But you have no way of knowing whether they're bad or good.
No,
I mean,
you don't.
I would say I'd have to save the person.
you would save a person regardless. I mean, in any situation.
Probably, yeah, I think so.
Really.
I think I would.
A strange, I don't know, a strange person to meet. I don't know if I could put them above, you know, whatever, animal or anything that I was already connected to. I already knew something about.
How about if it was like your fishbowl?
Yeah.
You could pull the lever and it would either make the train go into the tracks where some stranger was standing, or your fishbowl.
Yeah.
You're gonna kill the guy.
Okay, no.
So where do you draw the line exactly?
Yeah, it is interesting. I do draw it at a dog though. A dog has enough consciousness, enough like feeling of love.
But here's the difference though, is that if a dog dies, you might be sad, but I mean, or maybe if they had a litter mate, that litter mate might feel some loss. But what about that person and the family of that person and the people that love that person? They're feeling real and significant loss, and they can understand it. I don't think it's the same loss with a dog or someone who loves the dog. I mean, yeah, you might be sad, but think about that person's family.
What about? Yeah, I guess I was thinking about my own family. I don't know. It's difficult. I mean, yeah. I mean,
maybe if you know that they're like Hitler, then okay. But if you don't know they're just some stranger, I'd have to say that I would save the human being.
What if it was 2050 and you're not sure if it's a human or a robot?
What's the difference in 2050 though?
That's kind of,
I don't know. I guess it matters like what percentage of the population do you think is good? If it's like 30%, then you're like pretty.
I don't think. I don't know. I guess I don't make that distinction. I think everyone has good and evil in them. So I don't think you can really just make a split between these are the good people and these are the bad people. Exactly.
Even dogs have evil.
Yeah, Cujo.
Yeah, except with a dog, I don't know. Somehow I think they, you know, I can't really apply the word evil to dogs, cats, most animals, because they act out of something that is more sort of primal and instinctual. Whereas when a human is really evil, it's contrived. They've thought through the process, you know, and they know the consequences very well, and they still do it. I think that to me is an evil that no animal could ever be attributed. Yeah, I still would have to save the dog. I don't know, and that's I probably anthropomorphize certain, you know, plants and animals, and maybe I'm giving them more credit than they're due, but you know,
plants.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I love my dog, but and I would feel terrible, but I don't know if I'd feel as terrible as if I knew that I killed somebody who had a family.
Well, you didn't kill them.
You didn't kill them.
You simply saved your dog when it was possible.
Well, no, because by taking the action, you're deciding who lives or dies. Then it kind of is killing them. Well, I mean, you're familiar with the thought experiment, the ethics thought experiment, where you're standing at a switch in a train station, and you can either pull the switch, and the train will switch to a different track and kill one person.
Yep.
And if you don't do anything, then
more than one person.
Yeah,
dies.
more than one
10,
person.
Whatever,
dies.
pick a number.
Yeah.
So would you actively do something to kill one person, but passively kill more? And most people's instinct is, if somebody dies either way, they would do nothing, unless the numbers are astronomical, right? Isn't that how it usually, or no? Or
no, I think it's actually usually people would pull
the switch,
pull the lever, yeah.
Oh
Press
no, that's
the button.
they'd pull the switch on a thing, but they wouldn't
push someone off a bridge.
Push someone off a bridge. That's where, or stab someone or shoot someone.
Yeah.
Like if I told you you could shoot this one person and save these others.
Well, here's the twist. What if you know that one person, but you don't know those other people? You're gonna save the one person, and you're gonna let the other people die. Because it's not a question of numbers. It's a question
Depends.
of who do you know.
Depends. What if the person, the
What
one
is the
person you know
relationship to you?
is like a 85-year-old person with terminal cancer, and it's like 5 young kids that are saying, "Help me," on the train car. I don't know. I think I
Well,
might
and
say
these are important questions because we need to decide how to program ourselves for
Right.
the robots of the
That's
future.
right.
Yeah,
right.
well,
That's right. If you're going to program a computer to be compassionate, these are questions you need to have the answer for, because it's only going to do what you program it for, and these are questions that are don't really have a right answer.
That's not true. I don't think we will actually be programming the computer. We'll be programming maybe the source or the kernel, but I think eventually computers will do their own programming. I mean, yeah, it'll depend on what kernel we give them to work with.
Right.
And eventually computers will be designing and building themselves.
Well, if we
So
give
what
them,
is the kernel that
if
we're
we give them
gonna
the kernel of, if we give them Ion as a kernel, they're all going to be serial killing, dog petting.
Yeah. There'll be a lot of dogs and no people.
I don't
There'll be a lot of dog food made out of human beings.
it's difficult to express my feelings, but it's you'd understand it if you had a dog like I did.
But I mean, certainly the robots are getting there. Artificial intelligence is this lofty goal that we think is never going to be approachable, but it keeps getting closer and closer.
That's because we're on a logarithmic curve. It's excellent.
Yeah, that's right. Of instructions per second.
Millions of instructions per second compared to $1,000. And according to this, and this is a 15 years old speculation, by the year 2020, the equivalent of a human brain will only cost $1,000.
Oh, right. That's Ray Kurtz's wheel prediction. Yeah.
2020.
Well, I think actually that's a Moravec.
Moravec.
Oh, I mean, it's
okay.
Kurzweil too, but I
Yeah.
mean, I think that particular
Concept they agree on. That
Yeah.
particular chart's from.
Yeah, there's timing might be a little bit different.
Yeah, because didn't Kurzweil say 2029? Well, that's when the singularity. But
I think he said 2040.
for Kurzweil, the singularity though is bigger than just like artificial intelligence is just one step on the way to the entire universe becoming one big computer.
Yeah.
He does predict. I did underline one thing here. 2029 is the year he predicts that robots will pass the Turing test.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I had that in my head.
Who, Moravec or
Kurzweil?
Kurzweil, yeah. That seems very feasible to me, actually. I mean, because right now there's actually artificial intelligence software programs that are passing the Turing test on limited topics.
Yeah.
So you could say, okay, you're going to talk to them and you're going to talk about wine.
Like the Tea Party is passing these people. Tea Party members?
Yeah, right. No, I mean, no, it's on
Certain
particular
political
topics.
affiliation.
Seems human enough to me.
Well, let's not get into politics. Let's not get into politics.
He doesn't
here.
like taxes. Must be human.
Believes in freedom.
But I don't know if you guys are familiar with the DARPA Grand Challenge, which they've held. I think they held it. I think starting in 2003 or maybe 2005, somewhere on there. Basically, what it was is it was a competition where they gave a cash prize of $1 million or $2 for any team that could create a vehicle that could autonomously navigate a course out in the desert. And they didn't give them. They just gave them like the general area it was in. They didn't give them the exact what the exact path that it was going to be until like right before the race. So they had to create these vehicles, with all the computers on board, the batteries on board, the sensing systems on board. In the first year, I think the best one got about 7 miles. The year after that did a lot better, and the year after that. All of them except one finished the race. And this is like, 200 miles or something like that in the desert with rocks and cliffs and all that. Then they did the one after that was a urban challenge where they did it, in an urban kind of setting.
So there was prize money involved?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It was considerable. It was a couple $1 million.
So the winner of that cross-country one won a prize, and then
Yeah.
there was a second contest after that.
Yeah, they've been doing new ones every year.
Google's working on that too, autonomous vehicles.
Yeah.
Autonomous driving vehicles.
Yes, and their Google Earth, their what's it called? Their Street View guys out there. But so then in the urban challenge, they actually had it where the vehicles had to follow traffic laws. So sometimes they had to interact with each other and do things like at a four-way stop, go in the right order, and it's starting to get very complex. It's actually a lot easier if you're just out in the desert. In terms of having to make those sort of intelligent decisions.
Sure.
And then the 2012 DARPA Grand Challenge is using, before that, they could basically build any kind of vehicle that they wanted to, but now they're all using the same platform, and it's this robotic, humanoid robot called Petman, as built by a contract. They had a contract with Boston Dynamics. And this thing was, the challenge is in a human, engineered environment, and it's kind of, it has to climb steps and use tools and do all this kind of stuff. And it's kind of like the Fukushima disaster. If they could have had robots that could have done this stuff, it would have made the disaster a lot less bad, because there was certain stuff they could have done in the beginning, but it was just way too high of a radiation situation for people to go in there. So if you had robots that could do that kind of stuff. So it's
Suicidal robots.
well, no, they can.
Willing to save, put their life over, or put human life above
Well,
their
that's
life,
the
right?
first or second law of Asimov robotics.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they're not advanced
Why else would
enough
we
to
build
care.
robots? Yeah. Will they ever care?
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe if you have a consciousness in it, but you have to have a biological drive to survive.
Well, doesn't Morovich think we're going to build robots to replace ourselves on purpose? That we will become the robots? That's Kurzweil thinks that
Yeah.
too. He predicts that in the 2020s, before even the Turing test, nanobots capable of entering the bloodstream to feed cells and extract waste will exist. They will make the normal mode of human food consumption obsolete. Thus, humans who have injected these nanobots into their bloodstream will evolve from having a normal human metabolism and become humanoid cyborgs.
Yeah, no, I think that's right.
That's,
we will become
the Force.
We will
Star
become
Wars.
artificial. Yeah,
Wait, I don't
metachlorians.
get how that would
You wouldn't have to.
feeding.
You wouldn't eat or poop anymore. You have little robots in your bloodstream that did all that for you.
Where would
Delivered
they
energy.
get the food?
The sun.
Yeah,
Photosynthesis.
photosynthesis, or breaking down.
Synthetic nitrogen.
Yeah, breaking down other things. But I mean, I think that's right. I think we will become artificial piecemeal, and we're not going to become cyborgs. Some of us already are cyborgs. I mean, there are cochlear implants.
Well, yeah,
are you a
if-
cyborg if you have a cochlear
if
implant?
you
What kind of implant?
Cochlear implant. Deaf. You can be deaf and get a implant in your ear that basically makes you be able to hear again. So there already are cyborgs.
Aren't eyeglasses a piece of hardware basically that's connected to the body that
Yeah.
improves your vision?
Yeah.
That's a form of not cybernetics. Am I wrong to say that? But they're
Cybonics.
yeah.
Yeah. Augmentation.
Cyberopathy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
augmentation.
we augment our bodies in so many ways
Yeah.
now already.
Yeah. So's a
A chair. A chair is an augmentation of an extension of your body.
so's an ape picking up a rock and smashing another ape in the head. I mean, it's we started our tool use, and it's just a continuation of that.
Well, are we taking the more?
A chair is an augmentation of your ass.
So's a cheese butt.
A bike, you're like a bike bot man.
Well, so far we're being crazy and cheerful, just like Kurzweil and Morovich. I mean, is that where we want to be? We say this is all good because I like to see clearly, so I'll take the glasses. I don't like to sit on the floor, so I'll take the chair, and I'll put little cybernetic things in my bloodstream and have my brain digitized. Is there a point when we should resist?
Well, there is a natural evolution of technology, just like there's a natural evolution.
Or we frog in the
of-
water.
You've heard the statement about the evolution of ideas. I think Schopenhauer said it, and he said there are 3 stages every idea goes through. First, it's ridiculed, then it's vehemently opposed, and finally it's accepted. as the unrepudiated fact. And so I think technology goes through stages too. I haven't thought of all the stages, but I know one of the stages, and one of the earliest stages, is entertainment. Most technology, when it emerges, becomes some form of entertainment. And then it becomes also a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And then it probably moves through other stages. But yeah, that's what we have to be aware of. Is as this technology emerges, and it will emerge, we have to watch and be very observant at how it is applied. It's
People throughout Asia are already at war with robots and can't beat the robots. I mean, we the drones are robots. And
Well, yeah, and it's funny you say when you bring up entertainment. The fastest supercomputer in the world, the number one spot was just taken by a supercomputer called Titan in the Oak Ridge Laboratories in Tennessee. It has achieved a computing speed of 27 petaflops. It's 20
petaflops.
Petaflops. So that's like I believe that's 27,000 trillion instructions per second, and that's largely built upon GPUs, graphical processing units. These are things that were developed originally for graphics cards for entertainment to play 3D games. You needed a graphics processing unit to be able to simulate 3D objects, but that means you're simulating. That's how you simulate the real world, and that's what this computer is really being used for, is to run these simulations. It can run in an hour what it would take your PC 50 years to do or more. It's being used to try to predict hurricanes. It's being used to
are they trying to start hurricanes yet?
not yet, but that's next. They're trying to
They need to know where to put the butterfly. Where do we stick the butterfly to start?
Yeah. But also to simulate, to better understand the combustion of hydrocarbons and possibly gain 20 to 50% efficiency on things, on burning fuels, and it's really science fiction stuff, but it's.
So that's a case of entertainment becoming really useful technology. Yeah.
Well, and also it became these off-the-shelf cheap things. So that's what it's about too. Is just the ubiquity of computing power because of cheapness, and that's a lot about what Moravec and Kurzweil talk about. Is it's not just that the supercomputer can do it, but that's this huge thing. But someday it's going to be in your desktop, on your phone, in your bloodstream.
I guess the thing I'm more worried about than computers that is genetic engineering, and also I don't really agree with genetic engineering. And
you're worried about that? If I told you won't get cancer and none of your descendants will get cancer,
right? And if I could live forever or something.
Yeah.
But the repercussions of that means that this generation would be the last generation. There's no more evolution at that point. There's no more children. Because you can't have any more kids if you're gonna live forever, because there's not really room to have more people. I guess you could to an extent.
Unless you're all simulations, and then then you can just all fit on a computer somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I have a problem with disrupting the natural flow of life.
Well, envision this then, wholesome, because this is I've been thinking about this movie, and it's sort of a plot for a movie. But basically, there's this world where most people have become sort of digitized, and they've entered this network, and most people are. Yeah, basically sort of electrical simulations of themselves. But there will still be this contingent of biological humans that still live on the planet. So everything will still be here. There'll still be, functioning systems, power grids, and everything like that. And the people that remain here will basically be like the janitors. They'll kind of, sweep the server rooms and make sure that the servers keep functioning, and So there'll be a place for everybody. People.
Or will they be
thought-
like the chimpanzees that we're keeping alive just in case we need to test them again?
Plus, I thought the first kind of robots are going to be the ones that like clean up. We already have Roombas.
opposite.
Can't we just have those in the server room? There's some Roombas.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would think the reason we keep the biological humans is just in case.
Just as
Yeah.
a zoo.
Basically.
Like a feature in the zoo.
Well, as a
For
zoo,
entertainment.
well, and just in case the whole system shuts down and we have to reboot.
Yeah.
Gotta, you know. But we'd be like running wild in a state of nature, maybe even. Well, no, seriously, because there's now a movement in most major countries except the United States, most Western countries have given up testing on chimpanzees. Partly a combination of moral issues, and it's not that practical anyway, but
Yeah.
mostly moral. And they're also developing these mice that can have human livers. Because the main reason they like chimpanzees is for the liver, and they're supposedly going to solve hepatitis with it. But anyway, the moral issue is we're gonna not test on chimpanzees anymore. But a lot of scientists in America are saying, okay, we'll stop testing, but I still think we need to hang on to a few for the next outbreak. Like, we'll solve hepatitis with these new mice. We'll be moral, but what if there's some new form of AIDS or who knows what? We're gonna want a captive population of chimpanzees handy. And I'm wondering if we would keep ourselves in that same way.
Yeah. And we're going to destroy all their natural habitat too. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we need some.
Yeah, humans will be sort of like the backup system, you know, and then, or the biological humans at least.
See, I think the it's going to be inevitable, somewhat, because I mean, if your neighbor can have some augmentation that's going to make them vastly superior to you, you're going to be left behind unless you embrace it. You're going to be left behind.
It's not even about being left behind. It's actually that the digital reality will actually be more attractive to a lot of people.
Already is.
And already is than this world. There'll be more things you can do, more things you can be, you know.
That's what I was thinking. Like Ruben was saying, you get left behind, and in a way, like I mean, I got a cell phone just because it's like, okay, it's ridiculous, like, because now I like can't find people at Summerfest or whatever.
Right, and that's just being able to like post Facebook statuses and find people. I'm talking about actually being able to like not eat or like have your brain.
That's one of
be
Wally's.
like yeah. Right. Wally could not eat, and like you know, you could have your brain could be like 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times faster than someone who's not augmented, or you're. Any of those things. I mean, right now, the technology is not to the point that you'd want it. I mean, you don't want to rip out your eardrum and put it in a cochlear implant because it's just simply not as good. But when the actual artificial implant is like way better than your natural
LASIK
thing.
eye surgery, there are.
Yeah, like LASIK. There you go, LASIK. I mean, you know. And that's getting it better, but I mean, if you could see in infrared, if you could, have X-ray vision.
Yeah. Wholesome will be able to go to a rock concert, and he'll simply have to think about turning the volume down.
Yeah.
And it will go down.
Well, okay.
And it will no longer damage your ears.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So Wally might, Wholesome might rip out his eardrums and put in a cochlear implant, maybe.
No, when the eardrums are as good as when the cochlear implants are as good as the eardrums.
Yeah.
Or better.
Yeah, it's when they're better. How are you gonna? Then it's gonna be a lot harder to resist. It's easy to say at this point because technology is kind of it's not to that point yet.
Right.
What if they made a mistake and you just had Stone Soup on repeat in your ear for the rest of your life?
That would be the definition of insanity.
Yeah. I would like to be able to turn off those earworms you get sometimes where you just have like some stupid song in your head just over and over and you're like not even fully singing it. You're like, what the hell is that? I don't even know all the lyrics. I'm like mumbling a like song in my head or just re-singing some phrase. You ever get that?
Or what if you were truly digitized, not even just songs, I know what you're talking about, but just thoughts. Like, you ever have a thought and you're like, why was I think, and it's not even the thought you want. It's like a thought that was 5 thoughts after the thought you want, and you're trying to remember how did I get there? If you were totally digitized, you could just like Google it in your own mind.
Yeah.
You're like, what was I thinking 4 thoughts before this thought?
Yeah.
And
Why the hell did I just walk in here? Oh yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
wouldn't even matter if you had
Gotta
all
pay the
stuff.
water bill. That's right. I mean, it's already getting to that point. You have your your cell phone in your hand and you have your calendar on it and your everything else, and you don't have to remember anything because you can Google it, and that's just gonna go from an external thing that you're holding to something that's inside you. I think like soon. Like I mean, I think that's within our lifetimes for sure.
Yeah, I could see that.
So for you, it was being alone at Summerfest that caused you to finally break down and get a cell phone?
Yeah, pretty much.
That was the trigger?
Yeah, and like no one wants to let you use their cell phone because they think you're gonna like run away with it, and it just gets uncomfortable to ask.
Yeah, you look like the type. That
And I just got sick of ask people, and they'd look at you funny like,
What's wrong with you? You're like a social pariah if you don't have a smartphone. Right?
They're like, or they think I was just gonna take it and run away. I know I don't think I look like that type of person, but they still think it anyways, just because the stranger's walking up to them and asking them to use their phone. And so yeah, it like happened 2 weekends in a row. I had trouble finding people at like down by like Summerfest or the lakefront.
Well, what did we used to do when no one had cell phones?
Well, then
we'd look for each other.
Well, right, but then it was like, I know, but I mean,
plans to meet somewhere at a certain time.
Yeah, then it would like you'd have more like set plans so you could find each other, or you'd have a backup plan or something.
But that would be good. I mean, that used to be good. It's like you go off to college, you'd be like, okay, Mom, I'll call you like next week. Now it's like everybody's on the phone with their mom like 24/7.
I mean, when I asked what's the time to resist, for me that was not a hypothetical. I think we're past time.
Resist what though?
Technology.
I understand. Yeah, resisting camera surveillance. Yes.
Okay, that's the tip of the iceberg for me.
Yeah.
Drones, camera surveillance, drones, and people digitizing themselves. It's already happening. Video games have replaced reality. Porn on the internet has replaced real sex.
Yeah, but that could be a good thing too, because we do have a population issue. I mean, we're not going to be having a lot of babies out of wedlock if people.
Well, I shouldn't say replaced.
I do wish we could get rid of a lot of like the parking lots and roads and stuff and have a more natural existence somehow.
Yeah, we'll start digitizing
If you just stay
humans.
in your room on the internet, you don't need a parking lot or a car or a road then, right?
Yeah, but I need to like work it out so I get paid for doing that.
Well, you could do like porn, you could do like you do a webcam and then like
Be easier if I was a girl.
I think if you're really worried about
pay you to put your pants back on.
I think one of the best things that's emerging again, I mean, and especially if you're worried about technology going the wrong way, is again looking at the internet and finding out about people like Richard Stallman. I'm plugging his name again just because here is somebody that made the choice back in 1984 that he did not like what was happening with code and software and decided that look, I want to support software and code development that's open, to all people. And that basically that was where the idea of free software, not free because it doesn't cost any money, but free because anyone's allowed to go into the program.
Free as in freedom.
Yeah, freedom, right. So, the fact that movement has emerged on the internet, the fact that there's copy left as opposed to copyright, that is very heartening. That makes that gives you that's the optimistic side that people like Ray and
Hans
fall on, right?
Unfortunately,
Of
like the
course it's gonna be
copy
a battle.
left is like such a small percentage of the overall populace.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Most people don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you told them, they'd be like, "What? Hell no."
Yeah, but I mean, just because they don't know doesn't mean it's not
Well, there's
completely
enough
influential.
people
I mean, most of the web pages you're serving up is being served up by Apache. That's free open source software.
Mm-hmm.
A
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
most
and
of what's
a lot of
running the
people
internet
in private,
is,
if you talk to them, they'll admit like, "Oh yeah, I totally I agree with socialism a lot and stuff like that." Like just people on an individual basis might say
Yeah.
that occasionally. So yeah, And yeah, that's the open source is excellent.
Yeah, but that's the battle. There is going to be a battle that's taking place, and part of it is going to take place on the internet here. So
Yeah, it's like any technology. I mean, that's why I think that the compassion part is key, because technology can be used for good and it can be used for evil.
I think you're way over exaggerating the importance of compassion. I think there's some other ingredients in the soup that are much more important.
Yeah, I don't think so. I disagree.
I think compassion's easy to program.
I don't think so, because we just couldn't answer the question right now about what's ethical and what's not. I mean,
Well, because also what you mean, right, the reason we couldn't answer it is because what you mean by compassion is someone who would behave like you would behave. It's not an easy thing to define. Like, you're basically saying someone who would be ethical and would care about not everything, but the right things. Like, care about people more than dogs, orangutans more than dogs, people more than orangutans, and certain kinds of people more than others, based on their compassion. Compassion, I think, is undefinable.
well, yeah. What if passion is uncodable? I mean, what if you simply we at some
It's
point
a
we
myth.
realize
It's nostalgia.
that you can't program it. The amount of variations, the amount of hypotheticals, it's just, no one knows. If you are really in one of these silly hypothetical situations that we've been talking about, you just don't know how you would act. You wouldn't know until you're actually there. None of us, fortunately, will ever be in that situation. Nor has anyone ever been in a situation like that. Compassion, maybe, let's just, throw it out there. Maybe there are certain things about humans that are uncodable, just impossible to put into a program. But then again, I believe that machines are going to evolve in the same way biological systems did, and even though it's materialistically, you want to think that computers will always be sort of consigned to bits and electrical impulses. They may achieve a gestalt, where they are more than just the sum of their parts, just as we humans have become more than the sum of our parts. What do you say?
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just something, that we'll figure out when we get there. But I think it's possible that there's maybe compassion is one that is going to be really difficult. And how are we going to know if a computer is compassionate until it really does something fucked up? Obviously, there's a lot of humans that have their compassion programming fucked up.
Yeah.
And do things that are totally uncompassionate. So more than likely, we'll probably do better with computers. Because humans, though they may have the ability of compassion, I mean, how many of them fall short? So. It'll be one that I'm not worried that we're gonna get it wrong.
I would think if we make a mistake and the robots we make aren't like us, the mistake we make will be making them too good. The thing that humans are going to have over robots is not an excess of compassion. The robots will be more compassionate.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. Creativity.
Well, if you program
What
a
about
robot to
creativity?
be compassionate, it's going to be compassionate. Whereas, people are usually compassionate, but once in a while they'll push a guy off the subway platform for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Well, most people won't do that.
Yeah.
Creativity.
Yeah, creativity.
Once in a while there's just someone who's broken.
I mean, the problem with creative people is they're so moody and they're inefficient. I mean, you get a creative robot, and it won't need to wait for inspiration.
I don't know.
Well, here's a question, and we'll save this for next week since we're running out of time. But would there ever be a situation in which machines would want to build biological systems? Basically, imagine that we were all machines, and at some point we headed into this biological revolution. Oh, these biological systems we've created are getting better and better. Yeah, just wait. Someday we'll be able to inhabit these sacks of chemicals, you know? Could it go the other way?
Can't wait to take a dump.
Well, have we ever gone in that?
2070, robots will be taking a dump.
Well, think about it. Think about how we've already domesticated or robotized ourselves, and how often do people go back into the wild? How often do people say, I don't need electricity. I don't need indoor plumbing. I don't need a shower. I like the way I used to smell, and I want my mate to smell the way people used to really smell. I mean, has anyone ever done that?
Yeah, but then they started sending mail bombs to people and wearing a hoodie and sunglasses. But that was his problem. I mean, he went off into the woods and he had a real problem with technology.
Well,
The Unabomber?
yeah, I know. He had other problems too.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there's
I'm
been
just saying,
like
you just
Native
described the
Americans who
Unabomber.
wanted their old culture back. Native Americans have done it. They've been like, we really don't want this. We want to hunt
Yeah.
and have land and shit.
Yeah. But we need to mine.
Speaking
What
of,
about all
yeah,
the jobs?
did you watch the speech tonight?
No, I didn't.
He
I didn't.
brought
But
up-
I'm a follower of the Bad River Band's
Yes,
protests,
I wanted
yes.
to talk about and we don't have time maybe, but
Yeah.
the Pinocchio Hills.
If you can do it in two and a half minutes, go for it.
Well, Governor Walker gave a state of the state, and the big theatrical event was he had a bunch of union not land miners, iron miners with their helmets on, hold up a big state flag, and Scott Walker said, "You see, there's a badger on that flag. We were founded on mining," which is true. I mean, that's our history. But the mine they're talking about is not even real iron. It's low-grade iron, so they can't tunnel for it. They have to strip mine it, which means they're going to completely destroy this sacred land. And if there was a bunch of Native Americans and only a few European miners like there was when we made that flag, I'd say, okay, it makes sense. But at this point, all of the land is European. There's just a few reservations left. This is one of the most beautiful natural wetlands right on the shores of Lake Superior. And
And they have treaty rights to hunt, gather, and fish.
this bill would throw all that out the window.
Lamb.
But it's being presented as to be against this is to be against progress and be against jobs. And they are putting a full court PR press on it.
Yeah.
Full court.
Well,
Like
last
not-
year
like-
it was shot down by one boat. Passed through the
It's probably going to pass.
Assembly Bill
It's going to pass.
147.
I mean, that's the equivalent of being president and standing in front of the American flag and pointing to the American flag and saying, which part of this are you against? I mean, that's what the
I'm
governor
saying.
did.
If I had a choice between my dog and Walker would definitely get hit by that train. So.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, me too.
So what are the Bad River tribe telling you about that place, the Pinocchio Hills?
Well, no, I mean just that it's an area that's Chuquamagan.
Swamanon?
It's pristine. It's a pretty pristine area. There's not many places like that left, and they really do hunt, gather, and fish. It's their livelihood, and they've been doing it in the same way for hundreds of years. And they claim this mine's going to give all these jobs to people, but it's such a short-sighted view.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to give jobs to some people, but they try
For a
to sell
couple
it
years. For a couple
years, and it's going to cause an environmental impact
Right. That
for
lasts
hundreds of
of
years. And the money is not even going to. A few people up there are going to get a job. They'll probably bring most people from out of state.
No, and even
You
they
know?
said there's these mining companies in Milwaukee that benefit. They interviewed both mining companies, and one of them said it wouldn't make a difference to us, and the other said we'd actually make that in a different state anyway.
Yeah.
That equipment.
So is it still Gogabik Taconite?
I don't know the details.
Yeah,
I think it's the same company.
yeah, Gogabik Taconite.
Taconite, right? It's not even iron. It's taconite.
Yeah.
It's cheaper than iron.
And it has doesn't it have a bunch of sulfur in there that it really
Yeah.
in dealing with it they'd really poison the place.
Yeah.
They'd really poison.
And the bill is to throw out all environmental regulations and just let them do whatever they
yeah,
want.
yeah. But the EPA did grant the Bad River Band the right to regulate their own water quality standards, and I mean,
There might be a federal lawsuit that could stop it, even if it passes
Yeah.
the Madison.
That's good.
There's a likelihood. Well, it's not unlikely.
Yeah.
It's clearly in violation of federal law. Well, they're changing the state law, but there is federal law and then the treaty with the Bad River Tribe.
Well, this is going on in a lot of different places. There's a good movie called American Outrage about the Dana sisters, who are Shoshone Indian women, and they're also fighting mining companies the Shoshone are fighting mining companies who are trying to extract gold, and this is in California, in the Sierra Nevadas. So this is like a battle that's been happening all over the place. And also there's the whole with the hydrofracking and the mining. They use the sand that is found in Wisconsin. That's another issue. They are, I guess the people that are profiting don't mind, but people that
live near all the trucks moving the sand.
Yeah. And then the fracking itself is. Actually, I think you sent me a link, right, to a site that talked more in depth about some of the regulations that they have for hydrofracking and how it really is not protecting us as.
Pete Seeger went to the New York City or New York State House and saying, "This land is your land. This land is my land," in solidarity with people dealing with fracking issues.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is the theme song of the Packerverse, and along with Stone Soup, the Packerverse stands in solidarity with the people who have walked on the Great Lakes land the longest.
So what is going to happen with Packerverse now?
Well, we got one more game to wrap up, and we've got mourning to do. We're gonna describe the 7 stages of grief, which I haven't even started yet, and we're gonna break down the game, and then we'll do another show breaking down the whole season, summarizing it. And then we'll switch into off-season. Packerverse will become more like Stone Soup. We'll discuss the history of the Packers, but also the history of native people of the Great Lakes region.
Sweet.
Good, yeah.
Sweet.
The
Well,
entire Packerverse.
I feel like we should be signing off here because it's a little past 11. We're gonna close off with a little chance and dance. Right? And
Should we plug Linneman's? Go to Linneman's. There's a show there.
is there?
That's what.
Yeah, go to Linneman's with show or not, right?
Well, I think Snowpeck and Georgia there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Right now?
Right now, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. Evan Stone Soup will be back next week. So with teeth. So, that'll help. All right.
Yeah. Lindemann, there's River Horse down the street as well for some more local sponsorship.
River Horse. It's not even that anymore.
It's Club Impala.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it still like River Horse?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Isn't that how you make a fur coat?
Yeah.
Club Impala?
All right. Signing off.
Alright
Ed.
then. Good night, folks.
Go ahead. Just pull like the red feeder.
Get us out.